AI doesn't change where projects break. AI didn't change any of that. It just removed the buffer zone. But what I found is when this doesn't happen, chaos ensues, confusion ensues. There's a lot of noise and talk about AI replacing creatives, especially in motion design, promo work, ad work. You've probably seen it all over the place. But after working on a recent AI-driven promo for a major artist, here's the truth. AI doesn't change where projects break. It just exposes it even more. I want to talk about this carefully, not so much about the AI hype and to create fear, because I think AI is a great tool. I just want to talk about what actually changed and what didn't. Because what surprised me the most wasn't the technology, but how much the problems that I still face still were there. AI absolutely sped things up. I had greater ideation. I had faster variations. I had faster visual explorations, lower friction, and to be able to generate the options that I needed. What used to take me days, because I'd have to create it, I would have to search through different inspirational sites, took hours. Sometimes it even took 5 minutes. You think it'd have been faster, but even that took like 2 minutes plus. But here's what I realized is that speed does not always equal clarity. Here's the trap that AI introduces. When you can generate more options faster and it makes you feel like you're making progress, this is where it's kind of like being busy, but not really actually getting things done. Because if your direction isn't locked, if your vision isn't dialed in, you're actually just accelerating confusion and chaos altogether. You can have, for example, on this recent project, I could have more versions, but not better decisions. I could have faster outputs, but not greater alignment. I could have infinite options, but that doesn't mean I had confidence from me, from the client, and the artist that I was working with. AI basically multiplies what your system or the systems that you already have, whether that's good or bad, right? It's going to expose the areas that are good. It's going to expose what's bad. It's going to show you that, again, like creativity doesn't always, you can do a lot of creative stuff, but it doesn't mean that it's going to equal clarity, alignment, and keep you from going over budget and having multiple revisions. So for context, I run a visual design house and we work with a lot of motion design, systems, and decision making. Here's what AI didn't fix for me. It didn't undefine the authority, right? So I worked with this client and they wanted this AI project. They opened it up, but it didn't bring clarity. All it said was like, this is what we want. And though I sent them the brief about 3 times to kind of clarify what it is, it didn't define who was making the choices because it was kind of passed off to somebody else. Then we kind of brought it back and it was kind of back and forth. And that led to some friction. It didn't fix the emotional shifts and during the project. This was crazy. There was unspoken expectations that even though that I have employed my framework for working with them, because they didn't adhere to it, there were expectations that were unspoken and they approved ambiguity. It was very ambiguous. And no matter what I tried to do to lock them down, to get things done, to get all the assets I needed, to get the vision, to get the look, to get the tone, they were like, well, you be creative, do what you feel expresses it. And like I've said before, those are dangerous, dangerous words. And when you're working with AI, these things don't decide who has the final say. It doesn't resolve the taste of conflicts. It doesn't lock direction unless you're just so tied to ChatGPT or Gemini that you can't speak. And as much as the program itself can help you define the process, the system, the framework, if you don't know how to relay that, work with the client, bring the client inside of that framework, it's going to blow the budget. It's going to cause things to be stretched out. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to have multiple revisions. But in this case, it didn't go that far, but it could have. It could have gone that far. Because all of that I'm talking about is down to human responsibility. It's my responsibility as the visual design house, the person who's coming in to create these visuals or work with your team or work with the client to make this process fast, easy, accessible, communicative, so that we can produce exactly what the client wants, fast, on budget, and without multiple revisions. I've tried allowing the producers and the managers and those that are the head of the agencies and studios to kind of guide that. I would prompt them and I'd say, okay, here are the things that I need. This is what I need to put into place. And as much as I thought that they would carry that out, the majority of the time they didn't. I had to be the one that prompted it, and I didn't want to be like this hard taskmaster. I wanted this to flow, and I do have established it in a way that this can really benefit the client, but I didn't want to be the bad guy. I didn't want to be the guy pressing people because I don't always like to be pressed, especially when I'm doing the work and I'm staying in the bounds and I'm staying in alignment. But what I found is when this doesn't happen, chaos ensues, confusion ensues, and the projects just go over budget, or you get so restricted and burnt out because they're not going to pay you anymore. They're like, this is the budget. This is what you have to do. Now you're stressing out because now you have to work overtime to get it done. And you end up losing your zeal, your passion, and you're just trying to get this done. And your work becomes basically crappy. Here's what became obvious is that AI doesn't replace creatives, it replaces excuses. It doesn't replace creatives, it just replaces excuses. If a project is unclear, AI just exposes that faster. And the reason why I say it exposes or replaces excuses is because you find people come in, oh, you could do it with AI, you could do this, boom, 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 and they think you can do it faster and quicker, and you can, but all it does is it's gonna expose the systems that are in place that aren't working. The system is weak, the AI is it stresses it even harder because now they think, oh, you could get this done faster. This and it doesn't matter how much I tell you to do because you can ideate faster, quicker, innovate, this, like this, like this. And so now you're making multiple revisions. You're doing multiple things. And if you're paying for Higgsfield or Runway and you're reaching your limit, and then now it's like you've got to pay because you got to add on credits. You don't have that budget. You don't have that money coming in because you haven't delivered the first rounds that they need to prove it. And it becomes a crap show. And again, you're burnt out, you're stressed out, they're mad, they're frustrated, and you're extending the time. It's not coming together. And your revisions have skyrocketed. So all of this connects to the last video that I talked about why design projects still go over budget. Most projects don't fail because of talents or the tools. They fail because there isn't someone governing the visual process. AI didn't change any of that. It just removed the buffer zone, right? If you're on a train and this train is allowed to go faster and faster and faster, but it's not tightened up whatever's in that system that isn't working, all it's going to do is it's going to expose it faster, and you could get to a point where it derails you and the whole project goes to hell. Last time I talked about working for an aerospace company and how they were saying just the screw, if the threads on the screw are off by their calculations, the whole plane, the whole shuttle could go down. So if you're using AI right now and things feel messier instead of cleaner, that is not a tech problem. It's a signal. It's a signal to say the system is the problem. Or sometimes it could be the system's not in place so that the client can adhere to it. Speed without clarity gets you lost that much faster. Reminds me of a saying from a movie is, I don't know where I'm going, but there's no use being late. You get there fast, but the faster you get there, the further and the more lost you are. AI awards alignment and punishes ambiguity. The future is this. The future is not less structure, it's more structure.